You're listening to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Each week, I'm going to be interviewing top realtors from coast to coast to give you a backstage pass on how they've created their amazing real estate empires and how you can copy them. Hi, everyone. This is Real Estate Coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show with my special guest, superstar realtor from New Jersey, Nancy Kowalik. Nancy, how are you doing today?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Craig. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we were chatting about what should agents do to get listings, and we were talking about your open house strategy and how absolutely any agent in the country can follow this formula and be successful. And we're not talking about the traditional boring realtor open house, agent open house where you sit there for hours and nobody comes. So maybe you can lay out what you're doing here, why you started doing it, and the results that you're getting.
Sure. So what I'm doing here. So, let me go back just a little bit about, when I started in this business, figuring out the avatar, right? So my area is a move-up area in real estate. So that's one of the things you talk about heavily.
And give everyone your area, because I know where you are.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I'm in South Jersey, the Mullica Hill area, exit 2 of the Turnpike in Jersey speak, right? So way down south. We're a suburb of Philadelphia, and we're close to Delaware too. So right in that area. But this area is a bedroom community, right? So we've got a lot of executives. We have the best school district in the area. So you have to think about why people move to where you are. Like, what does that look like? So my perfect avatar is a move-up buyer, which means they have a house to sell outside of this area, generally speaking, right? So, in looking at these, just something I stumbled across when I finally did the buy this home, I'll buy yours. It was a game changer for me, right? In this industry. I was told by a lot of people it was intimidating to walk past my signs. That's not a bad thing for me. But when I started doing these, I really started playing with open houses because I really liked creating the auction effect of having everybody come to see an open house all at the same time. And so there's lots of ways, and I have kind of a playbook that we talk about that I've taken a lot of those pieces from you and from TW. And then just kind of, plussed it a bit more. So, but at these open houses, we make sure the first time someone's seeing the property, it's the open house. We've got a queue of 30 or 40 groups of people coming in to see that open house in an hour. And we're capturing all of that information. And we're able to find, listen, do some come with agents? Of course they do. But a good amount of them come without agents. And so that we've just kind of picked up on that formula, rinse and repeat, and gotten better and better and better. And this past weekend, we had 6 open houses of our own. And every one of my agents picked up at least 2 new buyers, qualified buyers, mind you. And we picked up listings out of it. So it's a game changer. But you have to be consistent with it. The number one. And number 2 is advertise it, right? And it doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. I spend $50 an open house. That's it on advertising. So
okay, a lot of nuggets. I want to jump in for 1 second. I know some of you might be thinking, open houses are nothing new. I've tried open houses. They don't work. Or, hey, gee, Nancy, this sounds great, but I don't have any listings. So how can I do this? So first of all, let's define what this is. Nancy's not talking about sitting in a house for 4 hours and, the homeowner makes you cookies and then you feel bad because nobody came through the house, or the buyers. The problem is the buyers come through one at a time. Okay, I think everyone would agree. When you do a traditional open house, either you don't get any buyers or they come through usually one at a time, and you're supposed to get up and follow them around and make small talk and bond with them. I think you would agree it would be better if you had 20 or 30 or 40 buyers come at exactly the same time, creating competition or this auction effect that Nancy's talking about. So one of the things that Nancy does is she limits the time the house is open, right? On purpose. Does that make sense to everybody? Nancy wants all the buyers to come at the same time. Now, Nancy and I would both agree that if you do an open house and you do it the old-fashioned way and nobody shows up, it's a very bad idea, because you are literally sitting there twiddling your thumbs for 3 or 4 hours. So the key to this is the structure that Nancy uses, okay, this tour event formula that she's perfected. and how she markets the tour and being consistent. And it happens every single week to make sure that lots of people come. So where do you want to start with all this, Nancy? Maybe we start with how did you figure this out? You did open houses before. How did you stumble onto this?
So, you know, in a world, so this has been going on since well before we had, you know, limited inventory. When we had a situation, I had a property that was an exceptional property, and it was in February, and the pool was closed. The house next door was in foreclosure and looked like it was in foreclosure, right? And the neighbors were just dynamite people. And I said, look, I'm going to try something different. And they were like, okay, we're in, because they loved my marketing, which of course is all of Craig Proctor marketing, just with my colors and my name on it. And so I said it was the DePeros, and I said, listen, I want to do something. I want to limit the amount of time for the open house, and I don't want to let anybody in before the open house. And they're like, why would, okay, we're in. Like, my strategy, scarcity, right? So the idea of, you know, when you're at the red carpet and there's a line of people and you're gawking at people as they walk in, and you're like the dog in the window going, let me in. It is this, it's a primal thing with all of us, that we want something, especially when it becomes that thing that you're dangling. And so I just thought, it was just an instinctual thing. But not letting people in before the open house was like, let me try it this way. TW was the one who suggested it go to an hour. So I will give TW credit for that, because I was like, oh God, they're not going to like this, but I did it. And so this was when it was a buyer's market, and homes were sitting in foreclosure, that, you know, even on the market. And we had 56 groups of people through this open house in February with a closed pool. And I was like, I struck gold. Like this, let's deconstruct this. It was, so I tried a lot of different things, but that was just amazing to me. And it was just me and one other person. And I mean, I was floored. We sold that house for, I want to say 150,000 above market. Again, when this was a buyer's market, not a seller's market. And and literally had someone stand there in the open house going, I'm stroking a check right here. What am I writing it for? I mean, that's how crazy it got. Since then, I've done business with every member of that family, by the way, right? So for both buyers and sellers, it's amazing. So they were impressed. He was the head of a company, and he's buying this house for his daughter. It was not an inexpensive house, but have done more and more business, because they've also seen the consistency from that point. So having that experience and going, okay, rinse and repeat. So I had, you know, part of my structure was always sending out to my database every week. Emails go out to say a Sunday tour of homes. And even if there's not a tour of homes, for like President's Weekend, we didn't do a tour of homes. We still sent out something that was fun but just consistent, with offers. So that email goes out to our database, which is now 81,000 people. We've accumulated all of these buyers and sellers by making sure we're putting them in the database and reaching back out to them. And then we do the slide dial to the neighborhood, to about 200 or 300 homes. Hey, you know, come help pick your neighbor, right? We invite you to the open house. And then we do ads on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, it gets posted on LinkedIn. As I've talked about, LinkedIn is a sleeper for me. I just came back from a long weekend. I picked up 2 listing appointments while I was away from LinkedIn. People, hey, Nancy, when can you come see me? I'll wait for you. So those kinds of things, that consistency has been amazing. And you know, you do it for buyers. Listen, I'm going to sell the home anyway. We get that. House is going to sell. But we're picking up more buyers because only one person can buy that home. And the amount of sellers that come and stand in the neighborhood going, are they giving the house away? What are all these cars doing here? What's going on? We're in rural South Jersey. This is not a city. And people are like, it's like a circus over there. And it's like, yeah. And then they're like, I want to be a part of that. So,
well, that's what a home seller's paying their agent to do, is to draw attention, create demand, set their house apart from all the other houses.
Yes.
And so what you're doing here is you're using this, I'm not even going to say concept because it's proven. You're using your tour of homes, number one, to get listings, because this is part of your listing presentation. Hey, here's, you know, you're able to show pictures and videos and documentation of the
often as we can. Yes.
Huge crowd. So if I'm a seller, I like this. Now, do you ask the seller to be present, or is the seller vacated while this is happening?
I do ask the sellers to not be there. I prefer, because I think it really inhibits things. And it's also, my eye is off the ball. I mean, I have 2 or 3 agents at when I know I'm going to be really slammed, and I don't want them having to worry about the seller and what they might say. So we ask the seller not to be there. And we also don't do water bottles, cookies, anything else. The feature is the house. We're there for the house. I'm not there to have somebody eat food and track it through the house, you know, that sort of thing. They're there for the house. And so let's have a conversation about the house.
I want to get into this whole, I want everyone to start thinking about how we normally think about real estate in the beginning is we get a listing and we're focused on selling the listing. And, we're satisfied with that. But you can see what Nancy's doing here. She's taking a listing and she's leveraging off that listing to get a whole bunch more buyers and sellers. So that's the mindset, is how can we take this listing, even if it's not your listing, because I don't want anyone giving us the excuse that, well, I can't do this because I don't have any listings. We'll talk about that in a minute, how you can literally borrow listings from other agents that would be happy to have you give their listing more exposure. So that's not an excuse, okay? Thinking this won't work is not an excuse, because we've got too many people doing this, like Nancy, successfully, okay? So the concept is you have a listing or you borrow a listing, okay? And you structure this so it's open for an hour or whatever limited amount of time that you want, could be 15 minutes, and you drive all the buyers and sellers to that property at exactly the same time. So I want everyone to imagine that you're one of those buyers that attends Nancy's tour of homes. You get there, and what you see is a frenzy. You see dozens of other buyers that also appear to be interested in that same house.
Right.
Let's stop there for a minute. How many of you think, let us know in comments, how many of you think that would have some kind of psychological impact on you if you were a buyer and you look around and you see 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or more buyers in the house? So we're accomplishing creating this auction effect. Now, everyone that attends the tour has to register with you. Explain how you sort of have automated the registration process and why you get them to register and what happens after they do.
Yeah. So I used to always, we had, paper sign-ins. So someone would sign in and I'd go to, call them a couple hours later and is that an 8? Is that a 0? Is that a 1? Is that a G? What are these? I can't read anything. And oftentimes they would just give us false information, right? So I was like, I'm not going through all of this just to sell the house. I'm going to sell the house anyway. So, and then my agents weren't also bringing the forms back in time. So my son and I developed an app, and we used the QR code for people to sign in on their individual phones. And so what that does is they put their information in and they have to get their verified, they have to get a check mark verified back to them so that the agent at the front door will let them in, or they're not allowed in. Because, by the way, my seller has a right to know who's coming in the house that's not pre-qualified. They get one shot at this, they have a right to know. And if you don't want to share that information, you can't come in. And we're very strict about this. We had a couple instances in the past month, and both my agents were like, I'll call the police. You're not allowed here. It's just, give me your driver's license, show me something. And they didn't want to. That's nefarious, in my opinion, right? We don't need them there. So, but that's not the norm. The norm is people give us their information. And when the QR code comes back and says, yep, you're verified, they're walking through the house. That information we have tied into our contact management system. So it goes directly in, the listing agent's getting that information, and they can actually go in and put notes because they're having conversations with folks. And that information is captured. So let's say if we've got 40 families through the open house, 40 names, and we divide it up between the two agents, they must call by the end of the day. Hey, my name is Jared. I met you out at 123 Main Street. Just want to call and see if you have any questions. And you shut up and let them lead you through. There's a few questions. But that automated system also tells people, asks them questions. Are you looking to make a move the next 3 to 6 months? Do you have a home to sell, or do you going to purchase for? So we've taken the universal callback script and put it in text form. And then when they answer questions, we send them the brochure online. So they're actually getting this beautiful color brochure with all of our guarantees right to their phones as a thank you. And that's an awesome thing. And then we've even taken it a step further, which, we've started putting open house bidder as a piece of this. We invite them if they want to bid online to do that. The agents are not loving that because the buyers are the only ones that are able to do this. So it's really automating, and people are like, I'm getting more comments. It's like, wow, you really have this down to a science. And, the agents that I have are calling and they're vetting. Listen, if they're working with someone else, I still say, I'm working with an agent, that agent's not identified, we're calling to say, did you have questions? If you give me your agent's name, of course, I will call them. I'm not trying to steal someone. It just depends on how open-ended it is, right? So, but we're following up with them, which they're impressed with. And then we're giving them the opportunity to bid online, which no one else is doing, in a transparent way, which is also not the norm. Most bidding is, is blind. So, we're just, that's a whole other piece of this that we've just added in. We're not even marketing it yet because I want to make sure it works in its entirety before we start marketing it. But the open house piece has been amazing. 81,000 people, as soon as they get added to our database, they're now part of who gets our email every week, our list of open houses. And we have successfully acquired buyers that came with their agents. So, Craig, a new listing comes up and Zillow gives it to Mary Smith down the street. So Mary Smith is meeting this buyer at this house. Mary Smith doesn't know the neighborhood. She doesn't know the house. She doesn't know anything. And the person recognizes that. And they meet MAR agents who are very well versed on the neighborhood, very well versed on the house. And so now they're going, Mary Smith, I was talking to an agent, but I want to work with you. And we're not even at that point, there was no relationship that had developed there. So we're just able to then excel and show what we do best, which is be the best in our class, right? But you got to get in front of them to do this. And the open house has just been amazing for us. And that app, it takes human error out of it because I don't have to guess at anything. My agents would take a stack of leads. Can you imagine 30 or 40 leads and would forget to bring it in on Monday morning? I'd be like, I need those leads to put in the database. Oh, I forgot. I'll get it to you. And I'm like,
yes, I'm well aware of that. So the automation takes care of that. The leads instantly go into your CRM and you know who they are and they've answered all the qualifying questions. So you know a lot about them. It's very efficient. Yes. All right. Now, how many of you watching this have questions? Okay. Type your questions into the comments. We'll either answer them while we're live here today or afterwards. But let us know how you're enjoying this. Let us know your comments. Let us know what marketplace you serve, because we get lots of referrals inside of Craig Proctor Nation. Nancy is in New Jersey. You're also operating in Florida now as well. So maybe talk a little bit about, because I assume you're wanting to recruit like-minded agents. And how would that look if they were to partner up with you, Nancy?
Well, so they would need to clear their schedule. Listen, if they do what you've taught me to do, which I then, of course, mentor in my agents, they're going to be on roller skates. And what that looks like. So here in New Jersey, my agents, they start out as buyer's agents to make sure they're doing well. They take appointments. They're taking 2 or 3 appointments a week. I just brought someone in that I've known for 20 years. I'm working with less and less newbies because it's very hard to educate and go through that process, only to lose them a year later to someone else and watch them fizzle out. So, but this woman has been in the business for 20 years. I've known her for 20 years. She came to my brokerage because she's like, this one and that one, and everybody promises you all these things. So she's been to 4 different brokerages in her 20-year career. She's been with me not even for a month. She's already signed 6 contracts on 6 properties. 6. She's like, holy heck, Nance, I'm on roller skates. I didn't expect to be this busy. Can you slow it down? And I'm going, okay. So, and she's like, the hype is real. It's because, there's naysayers in the marketplace. It's like, well, she must be doing something that's not quite on the up and up. She must be doing that kind of business in the marketplace when everybody else is falling down. You've got to be doing something not quite right. Well, what we're doing is taking really good care of our clients, taking really good care of our agents, and that shows. And
I would say what you're doing is quite right. And there's a lot of, envy and jealousy in real estate, as we know. But the difference here, I hope everyone understands, what you get with Nancy is actual clients. She's not giving you Zillow leads to call. She actually presents you with opportunities, first with buyers, like here's a real buyer, not a buyer lead. We're not saying call 100 people to try to get someone on the phone. And then once you prove yourself with buyers, because a lot of these buyers will have a home to sell, then Nancy will train you and coach you on listings and give you actual listing appointments. Again, not leads. We're giving you buyer appointments and we're giving you listing appointments. Now, right away, that is different than what any other brokerage in the country is doing. And I know, as Nancy just mentioned, every brokerage promises training. They all promise you leads. And sometimes that doesn't happen. And even when it does, how good are these leads? They're people that it's scraped information. They're not real leads at all. People are not answering the phone. We're giving you actual listing appointments and buyer appointments. Now, as far as the training goes, I trained Nancy, and now Nancy trains you. Okay. She spends an enormous amount of energy and time training you. Why? Well, because when you do better, Nancy does better. It's that simple, right? So because Nancy spends so much time with her agents, she's very picky, highly selective with who she would bring on. But if you think you're the right fit, if you're in the marketplaces that Nancy operates and you're a go-getter, okay, you might not be killing it right now, but if you were to partner up with Nancy and you're super motivated and you're coachable, if you're the right person, you could make hundreds of thousands of dollars net in your pocket. Nancy pays for all the marketing, the advertising, whatever you make in your pocket is in your pocket. You don't have any expenses other than maybe your cell phone. But this is a wonderful opportunity. Everything that you want to do in real estate, Nancy's doing it right now. And we took one piece of it. We could have talked about 18 different topics here today, but we're taking what many of you perceive as the old-fashioned open house. You know, you sit there. It's not something that really works. You just promise your seller that to placate the seller when nothing else is working and your seller's complaining. You say, oh, well, why don't we do an open house? And they clean up their house and you sit there for 4 hours, nothing happens. Then you feel bad and you have to apologize. We're not talking about that. We're talking about taking your listing and applying an open house system that does what it's supposed to do. Okay, it drives a bunch of buyers and sellers, dozens of buyers, sometimes 50, 60, even more buyers to the property at all the same time, creating competition, creating the auction effect. All of these buyers have to sign in. So in 1 hour, Nancy can get 50 or 60 contacts, okay, who many of them have a house to sell. And let's think about this. These aren't people, Nancy, that are clicking on Zillow. It's like, I'm a little bored today. Let's go look at some pretty houses. These are people that got in their car and they had to be at this property at that specific time. Within that hour, they had to be willing to register. Normal people don't do that. Right. Okay, these are real prospects who actually had to make an effort, and they're right in Nancy's wheelhouse because many of them live locally and they have a house to sell, which is, you know, great because that is the gateway to more buyers and more sellers. Those leads go right into the CRM. And I love the fact that you're taking them through all the qualifying questions. So you not only know who they are, their cell number, their email address, their physical address, whether they own, whether they rent, whether they want to buy first or sell first, whether they have a realtor. This is a system that has been perfected by Nancy. She didn't just wake up one day. She tweaked it. Like, you know, Nancy, they say a rocket ship going to the moon is off course 97% of the time. But you took the time to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. How many of you watching this are interested in learning more about this? Learning smart marketing systems that actually work. So many realtors complain, Nancy, that what they're doing's not working, and they don't even like what they're doing, but they keep doing it anyway. So, and that's completely normal. Those are called paradigms. So think about this. How many of you can relate to this? You're doing things you don't like. It's getting you results that you don't want, but you keep doing it anyway. Why? Because that's how we were trained to do it. Right. That's how we were taught to do it in the beginning. It's like, okay, this is how an open house is done. This is how you door knock. This is how you do floor time. We were taught these very antiquated ideas. And most of the coaching out there today is just how to do the old stuff a little bit better, how to do better door knocking, how to do a better traditional open house. So what we've done is we've ripped up the playbook and we're focused on how can we make this work? How can we improve the real estate business for everybody? Mm-hmm. This is a much better result for the seller. Instead of bringing through 50 people over a month, let's bring them all through in 1 hour. This is better for buyers, okay? It's better for, because it's a very organized way to see a bunch of homes. It's better, obviously, for Nancy and her team. Now, it might not be so good for the other agents, okay, that don't know the area and don't have the expertise and don't really know how to market themselves or their properties. I imagine, Nancy, because I used to get this all the time, where you get calls from a listing down the street that's going to expire in the next week or two. And they're, you know, they're for sale signs leaning, it's falling over. They've been on for months. Yes. And they're like, holy cow, Nancy had that house listed and sold in a week, and I saw 50 people lined up down the street. So it helps you ethically solicit buyers and sellers in the neighborhood that now realize what a good job looks like, what proper representation and marketing looks like. So go ahead and type your comments in, folks. If you like this, you don't like this, you're skeptical. Do you do something like this? Are there any of you that have kind of figured this out? Well, instead of opening the house for 4 hours, let's shorten the window and make everybody come at the same time. Also, back to how we market it. Again, an open house of any kind is a terrible idea if nobody comes. Whether you're sitting there for 4 hours or 1 hour. So it's how Nancy markets it. Okay, she's got a very specific procedure, routine that she uses, and she does it week after week after week. So she gains momentum, really. You've gained momentum with this where your clients in the area expect it. Okay, we've got questions coming in here about the app that you use. Do you know, does it even matter what app to use?
So we created it. It's called Open House Concierge.
Okay, Open House
so
Concierge.
openhouse-concierge.com. Yes, Open House. Is it Open House? Open House-concierge.com. Yes. And we've developed it because, I mean, I used to walk around the house yelling to myself, like, why doesn't this talk to this? And why can't this do that? And why can't we find a better way? And why does this, none of these management systems really talk to each other efficiently. And I was like, there's got to be a way. There has to be a way. And I couldn't find a way that worked. So we created a way. So,
we've got another question. It's kind of funny. The questions, Nancy, are the technical questions. So someone's asking, what CRM do you use? So I'll let you answer that. But before you answer it, let's make sure everyone understands it really doesn't matter what app you use or what CRM. This is not about the technology. I don't want anyone missing the point, right? I mean, if that's what you're getting out of this is, okay, well, I need a special CRM or a special app. What Nancy's going to answer is the CRM she uses and the app that she uses. You don't have to use that CRM. Doesn't matter what CRM you use. Doesn't matter what app you use to collect the buyer's information.
Yeah, because you work your way up to that. But getting face to face with those buyers is what it's all about. And this system, your tour of homes, is what we positioned everything around and then finessed and made bigger. And as we like to do. So, but I use Follow Up Boss, but I used to use Commissions Inc. And before that, it was good old Rolodex, you morphed through things. And, we've developed Open House Concierge to talk to multiple things. But again, being there, having a goal in mind. So I said, for every seller, I want to get 3 new buyers. That was my goal. So I sat down and said, what do I want to get out of this? I'm not just kind of starting shooting in the dark, right? And I had it to, we were 2.7 buyers on average for every listing. And then COVID hit and everything changed, right? The dynamic changed. But it's been an interesting journey for me. Now we're about 1.7 to 1 for buyers to sellers, which drives me crazy, but it's a different market that we're in, and we're still selling the house and picking up 1.7 new buyers per house. So, this past weekend we had 6 open houses. This next weekend coming up, we have 6 open houses. So do the math. If I'm only getting 20 families through, how many buyers am I picking up and how many sellers is that going to equate to? My agents are told, do not make appointments after the open house because you might be running to somebody's house to help list that house because they're making an offer on a house, because we are back to taking contingencies, right? And we've done that every week. And so it is, and you get these people becoming comfortable with the agents. It's not just somebody calling them over and over again. That phone just keeps ringing with this number. Zillow's calling them, Realtor.com, whoever else is calling them. No, they're meeting my agents, Angela, Jared, Donna, Noreen, face to face and going, this is a knowledgeable person. And that trust is already started within 10 minutes of being at that open house. You can't do that with the way this business functions right now. You can't get them on the phone. You can't get them to meet you in person. Come meet me in my office. And we do those things, but it's like pulling teeth compared to what it was pre-COVID. So things have changed. You have to change and evolve with it. This has been awesome for us. It's one of our top 3 business getters in what we do. And that's why we've added Open House Bidder to it. Like, we just keep, what else can we do with this? What else can we do to plus this, to make a bigger impression in the marketplace? And, this past week, another agent, called my agent, Angela. Why did you call my client? Well, your client, first of all, it's in our CRM. They came through our open house. They gave us their information. They said, I'm working with an agent. Here's the spot to put the agent's name. It was blank. So this agent calls freaking out saying, and she's like, listen, your client asked for disclosure. This person asked for the disclosure, asked for the solar leases, asked for all of these things. Those are buying signals. And this person's saying, hey, I want to work with you. So this other agent's out of whack. And it's like, well, here. And I don't even, I mean, God bless. It's awesome because I can literally say, here's a screenshot of the information we asked for.
I love it.
The information they gave us.
You're dropping so many gold nuggets here. I feel like I should be writing these down because I want to, every time you drop one of these gold nuggets, I don't want to forget about it. By the way, the answer to the CRM question was follow-up boss. But the point I wanted to make is I've noticed with real estate agents in training them for almost 30 years now, that real estate agents always feel that there's some kind of technology or something they're missing and something that they need. Like, I need this app. Did you hear what Nancy said? When she started, you could start with a Rolodex, right? I'm not saying having a CRM doesn't matter, but it's so easy to do this. I don't want any of you to overthink this and think, well, if I don't have the exact app that Nancy's using, or I don't use the CRM, I assume all of you have a CRM, okay? Look, the important thing to understand here is the concept, okay? Nancy is creating an auction effect, okay? She's doing open houses in a different way that's clearly working. If Nancy had no listings at all, she would borrow listings from other real estate agents that have listings. All listing agents want to give their homeowners extra exposure. So if you have no listings right now, that is not an excuse. We are not giving you permission not to do this. If you don't have the app that Nancy has, we are not giving you permission not to go do this, right? What we are giving you permission to do is to borrow a listing if you don't have one, okay? Pick an hour on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and then it comes down to your ability to market it, right? Remember, nobody comes, it's a terrible idea. If 40 or 50 people come, it's a great idea. And 40 or 50 people are not going to show up the first time you do it. Okay. You're going to get better and better. It's not going to be a home run the first time that you do it. But let's say 5 buyers come at once. Well, that's better than sitting there taking 5 buyers one at a time. So you're going to email your database. You're going to run inexpensive ads on Facebook, paid ads on Facebook. You could also use free ads on Facebook Marketplace. So there's really inexpensive ways to make this work. Now, Nancy sells hundreds of homes, and she said, this is number 3, okay? On my top 3 ways to sell houses, this is number 3 on the list. And this is why I wanted you guys to know about it today. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is a good idea? Because I've watched Nancy come from, like, one thing I noticed about Nancy right away is she was determined to succeed. And it really doesn't matter where you are in your real estate career right now, because when both Nancy and I first got into real estate, we had to figure it out. Safe to say, we had, we've been through all plan A, B, and C. We had to make this thing work. So we were determined. Okay. And part of our personality is, I guess, pushing against industry norms, trying to figure out better ways. Nobody likes criticism from other agents, but you got to understand that that's part of being successful, right? That's not your problem that they're jealous of your success, right? You're going to find out who your friends are in real estate. Who you should really be focusing on is not the other agents, but your clients. And Nancy's clients love her. And that's part of what drives her competition crazy is she's the most sought after agent in her area. You don't become the most sought after agent, real estate agent in your area by doing a bad job. It's because you do a great job. So Nancy is raising the bar in her community. Okay, more clients choose her than the other realtors. That drives them crazy. That's their problem. And you know what? I got to say, with Nancy's personality and my personality, in a way, it kind of drives us on, right? We kind of like competition, but we like it a lot better when we're winning. So do let us know your comments on this. Type into comments your thoughts on this, and check in and let us know what marketplace that you're in. We do get lots of referrals, but if you operate in Nancy's area, and you're free to contact her, by the way, if you think you might be a good fit to partner up with Nancy. You literally will be fed listing appointments and buyer appointments. Now, not for everybody, okay? You'd have to meet Nancy's criteria, which is you got to be a go-getter, you got to be coachable, obviously in the marketplaces that she serves. But this is a great opportunity to be mentored by somebody that actually makes millions of dollars a year. Now, I know your brokerage, when you signed up, they promised you training, they promised you leads. Let me ask you, how's that going for you? Right? Well, understand that many of these brokers are only brokers because they're failed realtors, right? And if you're getting trained by somebody that failed at the business, right? Or you're getting trained by somebody that's teaching you old school stuff. If they're teaching you cold calling, door knocking, floor time, chasing for sale by owner, if you're being taught chase, then you want to be interested in this, because we live in an opposite world. 1000% of the hundreds of clients that Nancy does business with every year, they seek her out. They either show up at her office, they show up at her open houses, they call you. Nancy's point a few minutes ago is really difficult to get people on the phone. I'm going to stress, really difficult to get people on the phone. So if you're living in this world where you're still buying Zillow leads, which are just scraped information, not even real leads, and you have to call 100 people to get 2 or 3 on the phone, and why are you calling them anyway? To see if they'll meet with, oh my God, so now they don't want to talk to you on the phone. Now you want to talk them into meeting with you. Why? Just so you can tell them what you do. Nancy's got them lined up, knocking on her door, right? Nancy's not viewed as an unwelcome pest. Instead, she's flipped that around to be a most welcome guest. They're coming to her. How many buyers and sellers do you guys have pounding on your door? Are they lined up down the street? You want to get coached up on this. Okay, and I'm so glad that everybody is watching this, and you're learning from somebody that's actually making millions of dollars a year. Before we wrap this up, Nancy, any final remarks or advice for people that are watching this, they're into this, and they're interested?
Yeah. So one of the things that we talked about is that, people use that excuse of I don't have any listings. So we talked about this. I'm scrolling, we all scroll on Facebook. If anybody tells you they don't, they're lying. So I was scrolling on Facebook, and because I'm a big part of a couple of different, South Jersey Real Estate Investment Group, a bunch of different groups. And I see somebody on there that this guy, so listen, wholesaling is a huge business, and in South Jersey, it's monstrous. And so, but we're missing out on those deals. So this guy posts, he says, hey, I need someone to do an open house. He's a flipper. But I guess whoever he was, purchased his house with, he was listing it with, but he wouldn't do an open house. So I literally reached out immediately, said, hey, I'm going to do it. He's like, really? You'll do an open house? I'm like, absolutely. So we went out and did an open house for him, and it was awesome. We've fostered that relationship, and there was a little back and forth between us initially. He was a loan officer, and I didn't like the company he did business with. So we did not do business together prior to that. And there was a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, not going to lie, but he started paying attention more after I raised my hand, said, I'll do this. Met with him recently. They took me out to lunch. He's got 41 listings coming up between now and the end of March that are going to be ready to go, and several of them in the $1.1 million range. And he's like, Nance, you are our go-to person for all the open houses. Now, mind you, they're not my listings, right? So all of these wholesalers are starting their own brokerages, but they don't want to be bothered with this stuff. They want to keep the commission. But it's like, look, if I bring you a buyer, am I getting paid? Of course you are. Absolutely. So 41 listings. Hello. Right? So I'm not getting the listings. I'm just going to get the buyers from the open house. And sellers from the open house. What do you think? I'm okay with that. I'm really okay. Right? So we're going to put up our sign. We're going to, we're getting permission from listing agents to use their pictures, or we're taking some more of our own. We're putting them out in our database. We're putting out our signs, right? 6 signs for every open house. So, and I will say, the first one we did, the guy was like, your signs are here? I'm like, well, of course my signs are here. I'm here. The signs have to be here. So we have the agreement just for that weekend, just for that day. So we've worked it out. But this flipper is a gateway to much more business. And I just found it on Facebook, right? Just, hey, who wants to do an open house? Hey, I'll do. And my agents were like, we're doing someone else's open house. I'm like, just bear with me here on this, right? And we picked up, it was a $350,000 price range, which for us is first buyer territory, highly sought after. We killed it. And so that relationship is growing. and had nothing to do with my listings. It's all about his listings.
Great example of leveraging off another agent's listing and then leveraging off those listings to get more buyers and other listings.
Yes.
Nancy, if someone watching this was interested in talking to you more, what's the best way for them to communicate with you?
Sure. So they should call my office. My daughter's the receptionist, so she'll say hello. Calling, we have 856-478-6562 is a direct dial. And they can give us a call there. They can come through our website, nancykowalik.com. That's monitored, but a phone call. Guys, we love phone calls, right? So call, let's hear your story. Let's see if it's a good fit to sit down and have that conversation.
And by the way, I've got an upcoming conference. If any of you are interested in getting information and attending my multi-day conferences, you can email me at craig@craigproctor.com. In fact, if you have any questions at all, you can email me at my personal email, craig@craigproctor.com. And if you'd like to set up a Zoom meeting with my team where we would show you how we can improve your business by asking you a few questions about what you're doing and then showing you what we'd recommend that you do instead. It costs $0 to jump on a Zoom with us. And the way you would set your meeting with us, we call it a breakthrough call, is if someone could type into the messages, proctorcall.com, no space, proctorcall.com. So just my name, proctorcall.com. It's my acuity day timer. You can pick a day and a time that works for you. Book out about 45 minutes and we'll show you how this all works. If at the end of our 45 minutes, not for you, no harm. Just keep doing what you're doing. But what if this is true? What if I have created more millionaire agents than any other coach or trainer? What if what Nancy's talking about would work for you? This is, one thing that we teach you inside of Craig Proctor World. So you should attend one of our conferences, get some information on the training that we provide, or a Zoom call with us where we can clarify this and answer some of your questions. And of course, we welcome you to type your questions into the comments here. Let us know your thoughts on today's training. And a big thanks to Nancy. Nancy, really appreciate you doing this as always. Great to get with you here and show off all the wonderful things that you're doing.
It's my pleasure. I had to get on a plane, spend almost $900 to come to a conference to meet you back in the day. It was 9 years ago, and it was $875. And first time I was away from my kids since they had been born, and it was and I was teetering on the edge of not being able to pay to live. And it was so to be able to jump on a Zoom call, oh my God, that's amazing. Like things have really changed, but it was life-changing for me. And that you've heard my story, and you got to invest in yourself. I invested in myself. I believed in myself, right? So I have the work ethic. You gave me the tools beyond that. And it's been amazing. So I love being on here with you and talking about my success because it's your success.
Well, thank you, Nancy. What made today's training unique is not the fact that, we're talking about real estate, not the fact that I'm a real estate coach, not the fact that you can do a Zoom meeting with me or you can attend an event. It's the fact that Nancy and I successfully do this. Okay. And that's what really sets us apart, because most of the advice, and a lot of it's bad advice that's given to realtors today, is from people that have never, ever successfully made millions of dollars doing what they're telling you to do. So that is an issue today, more so than ever. Anybody can create their own Facebook group. Anybody can proclaim that they're a real estate expert. But folks, you want to start asking some questions. Okay, you want to ask why the person that you're considering, why they're even qualified to coach you. What did they do? How many of you agree that somebody that's never really had any money, never really made any money, wouldn't be very good at teaching you how to become rich, right? Somebody that's never played the game of golf would have a difficult time teaching you how to be an excellent golfer, right? So a lot of these coaches and trainers, and perhaps they mean well, honestly don't have the experience or the track record as successful real estate agents themselves, and they don't have a track record for helping other real estate agents become millionaires. So you've got an opportunity here to speak to Nancy. to speak to myself, to attend one of our conferences, just like Nancy did back in the day, that really changed the course of her real estate career. Okay. Or just jump on a Zoom. It won't be with me. It'll be with one of my team members, but they're all good. They're expert advisors, and they will listen to you, and they will care about your business, and they'll answer your questions about the Craig Proctor system and give you a backstage pass to how this could work. So all you have to say today is maybe. I assume, because we're over 45 minutes into this interview, that you're interested, or you wouldn't be watching this. So you're here for a reason. So take the next step. Okay. Let us know what your questions are. Let us guide you and give you more information, and then you can decide whether this is right for you. So again, I want to thank everybody for being with us here. I'm real estate coach Craig Proctor, and I want to thank Nancy for doing a great job. So we'll see everybody next time. Nancy, again, thank you so much for doing the interview today.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's going to let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.